Well, welcome to another Sunday night with Kazaki Flyer 55. Tonight's little adventure takes us to the far off reaches of Borneo. Kind of rushed tonight. We were doing some carrier ops with Colonel Fork and totally muffing our takeoff. We overpowered our poor Corsair. Just couldn't take the steam launch for a set for an F-14. It threw us so far forward, we bent our prop and ended up in the drink. Colonel Fork had to rescue us out of the water. Well, tonight, so far, we've got sound with our sim sounds are with us, so we might be in for some luck. Now all we got to do is start this baby up. We're just going to cruise up the course to Borneo here and take a look at what we can see. We don't often visit Borneo. We've been through it a couple of times when we've flown with Allison Johnson, but we seldom come here. Now we need to turn around here, and we need to turn our batteries on. Batteries 1, battery 2, Gen on, Gen 2 on. Need to open our fuel valve to both. Right engine to on. Left engine to on. While we're here, start pumping up our fuel pressure. Yeah, this is so old school. We don't have a fuel pump to do this for us. We may have to come back to that in a minute. Let's see, get our throttles out of the way momentarily. We want to set our magneto on the left engine to both. And the same for the right engine to both. Check our mixture. Full rich. Props to full forward. Okay, still showing positive fuel pressure here. So we need to run this about 4 or 5 times forward. Now let's move it up just enough where I can reach past it. Now if we've done everything right here, there really isn't much to starting this old engine. Push the button. Hold it. I hear a start. Add some fuel. Now start. Let's pump the right engine up. Make sure there's fuel flowing into it. And right about there, then we hit our right motor start. See it turning. And we have a start. Now we do need to watch these engines. And in this particular aircraft, this is the big radials it's the big radials goose. And you mistreat these engines and they'll let you know about it in a hurry. We'll let them warm up for just a little bit more. We're in our Navy colors. A lot of water around here. Might as well let everybody know that Hey, we're the good guys. Now we need to start getting some lights on here. Get our position lights on. Let's close our window and secure it. And of course, somebody wants to make noise. And unfortunately, it doesn't leave the screen. So I got to reach over here and do this. Monkey pox, maybe. A walrus man, but not monkeys. Monkeys bite. I don't like the bites. Not unless I'm paying her for it. Okay, let's see here. I see lights. Take a look around us a little bit. Yeah, that's where the main terminals are. Okay, let's kick off the brake here. We start to move as we got a little bit of throttle in. Add some throttle. Uh-oh. And the sound has bit the dust. I was wondering why I could barely hear my engine sounds. Because they packed it in on us. I really do not like Windows 11. Hey, there's the sound back. Awesome. Thank you. How about being regular about that and just staying on? Where are we? We're down at the end of runway 07. Now, I want to see some scenery. So we're going to come off of the real weather down here in Borneo today. It is monsoon season. I want to see the scenery. So I'm going to come off of live. And we're going to the preset cinematic because it just looks so spectacular. Where's our ship's clock set? We're set at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'll change that to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Local. Here we go. Okay, sitting here on the runway. Clear to the left. Clear to the right. Put some power in. We want about 30 inches of boost if we can get it. Manifold pressure. And then we just let her accelerate herself. There's the tail up. Straighten her out. Dodge the truck. Not so successful at that. And we're airborne. Start cranking. It's grumming. Gear up. And immediately start trimming. A bit more up. Okay, adjust our heading marker. And we want to turn our Sperry autopilot on and heading hold on. We want to pitch her up to climb. Watch your vertical speed indicator here. Set it for about 500 feet per minute. This place 6 or 7. We don't want that much. 5 is good. And just let her climb. Check our instruments. We want 2,000 RPM per engine. There's left and right pretty well balanced. And airspeed is in knots indicated, so we're doing about 130 knots. And we're a little bit off our magenta course on the crayon course on the map, so we'll bank over to the left a bit. And here's our ride for the day. The Grumman G21 Goose with her good old-fashioned radial engines in her. You can, now they only built 1,300 of these in the Grumman factory because, well, these were the Learjet of the time. They were built for, well, for rich people to commute between the Hamptons and New York City. And the Navy decided they made really good patrol planes, and they borrowed them for the efforts during the 40s. And enough of them had survived 80 years later that, well, they've even started changing out the engines. They've put the boxer type engines, the regular airplane engines in them that are more efficient and get a higher horsepower. They've even put turbocharged engines, or I should say turbopropped engines onto these things, which really adds some horsepower. They will absolutely get you there. Okay, now we're inside again. And they've drifted past our course, so let's aim back to the right. I was very pleased that while I was messing around with Colonel Fork flying out around Washington State, up around Seattle, I made a carrier trap, scored a 3.3 out of 5, which is, for me, very good. The Corsair's kind of hard to mess up. Okay, there's 2,300 feet. Let's back off that climb. There's level on our vertical speed indicator, and we're holding at 2,300 feet. One more click. There we go. Should do it. Okay, if we follow our course from the coastline here, our first, well, we're going to pass Cebu, and then, well, first we're going to get to Tanjung, Malaya. What is the name of this one? It's Tanjung Manas is what they call this airport, and it's 50 miles away. So as we'll pass that, then Cebu, which is WBGS. Then on the other side is Muka. And our first landing stop is Bintulu, WBGB. Whiskey Bravo, Golf Bravo. And the first airport will be coming up too. We just left Whiskey Bravo Golf Golf, and we're coming. Our next over the ocean part here is Whiskey Bravo Golf Tango. We'll be passing within about 5 miles of that airfield. And then we proceed on up our course here. I added an extra stop just in case this one ran a little bit short. Although it's giving us an hour and 42 minutes left to get there at this speed. And we're doing 135 knots. Which is really good for a goose. I do love the goose. So we're just going to cruise up the course to Borneo, and let's take a look around here. Because I see lots of mountains in the distance. Nothing right close to the coast. Whidbey Naval Station, Whidbey. That's where I just left. Unfortunately, this aircraft is not built for carrier landings. Getting you from place to place, yes. Short, sudden stops, not so much. And chase the course line back and forth. Expand the map just a little bit. So if there's something odd out there, we'll at least have a couple of minutes warning. Nice little gentle, just a gentle flight tonight. We're not bridge busting like we did on Murph's stream the other night. Yes, even this laid back, very conservative person went under the bridges and didn't break anything. That was amazing. 3 bridges in rapid succession and we didn't break a thing. Unlike my catapult launches, those are not pretty. Speaking of, what were the winds like? Well, when we left Kuching, winds were variable at 3 knots, so winds aren't that bad. And it was scattered rain around here because it is monsoon season. It rains a lot. So let's see. Creek. My chair makes noises. Wrong button. There's the button I wanted. Uh-oh. Okay, it's still running. I can still hear it in my ear. Oh, there's a tune that does kind of reflect what we're doing today. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just putting together a playlist for a little bit. That should last a couple minutes anyway while we head up this way. Well, there may not be so much wind out there, but there's enough to move us around. One click on the heading button the other way, and we can balance this out. Yeah, this is just a very large bay. The island kind of surrounds us on 3 sides, but it's just a huge bay. You don't really think about how big it is till you get down here. Finally starting to learn where my camera controls are. Not the greatest in the world, but not as easy as it was on the old SciTech, but at least the CH is working. That's the recording, not my playback. Oh, should have done this before we took off. I'm going to turn my LRM on. My landing rate monitor, let me know, at least give me an idea of how my performances are going as landings go. There we go, connected. We may not get credit for the flight, but at least tell us how our landing went. The Goose is just a well-designed, pretty aircraft, like most of Grumman works. You know, what's nice about Grumman is, at least with the Goose, have a problem, you can always land on the water. And at least with this Goose, it comes with a fishing rod, anchor, and lunchbox. So this is the ultimate vacation machine. And I'll tell you the truth, I think I'd rather have one of these than the fancy Gulfstream 5 or one of the new, or even the BB business jets. I don't need to seat 30 people. I just need a room for about 5 or 6 people. A little bit of luggage. Pack some beer and some food and some charcoal, and or maybe anything to maybe just gather wood at the site and put together a nice roaring bonfire and really make it a nice family weekend. Descending a little bit. Kick her back up a little. We haven't even descended a full 100 feet, but we need to get her back up to about 2,300. There's right at 2,300. We'll adjust that 1 notch back down. Let that vertical speed just even out. So pretty. Little bit of camera clipping. Nope, the other way. And the other side of this island of Borneo is where, if we were 80 years ago, we'd find a major portion of a large navy anchored at where the fuel was. Because they didn't have it in their homeland, they had to base the fleet where the fuel was. And because the fuel is light crude, they didn't refine it. They just pumped it straight out of the ground and pumped it right into the ship's tanks. This cost them. Because it generated enough fumes that it tended to, if it was a wrong kind of open flame or spark, kaboom. Now that river is dumping the green right into the blue. Yeah, Tanjung Manis is just on the other side of that inlet. And believe it or not, there's an airport right over there. There it is. It's up there, I think. Let's see, river, big river. Yeah, river, big river. And the airport's on the far side. So the airport's way up there. Now, she's a woman, but she's still one of my heroes. And she got taken away from us way too soon. This song is about Amy Johnson. Okay, we're at 80% fuel. We need to keep an eye on that. And keep an eye on our map. And see just how far we can push this. If we need to, we'll stop way before Bintulu, and we may end up landing at Cebu, Whiskey Bravo Golf Sierra, and grabbing fuel there. They have fuel. Yeah. ALS, aprons, fuel, ILS, parking, procedures, taxiways, Avasi. Boy, they're a modern airport. Yes, Faith, Hope, and Charity are three very famous aircraft. More of that few owing or few being owed a great a lot by the many. For a while, Faith, Hope, and Charity that was all Malta had to protect it, and they did. And pump the heading before we get too far off course here. As we cruise around Borneo here, you can see why this part of the world's kind of paranoid about tsunamis. Look how flat it is. The mountains are a long way away, and they'll never stop any kind of wave. Yep, these are the famous Borneo teak jungles. And believe it or not, they used to cover battleship main decks with teak wood from these very forests. And then they'd make the crew sit out and scrub and polish and really take care of the wood. Mostly as a matter of discipline to make sure they did what they was told to do. I'd have spent a lot of time scrubbing decks, I'll tell you. Okay, just passing 3:30 in the afternoon. I must have done something right. I haven't blown up an engine in this thing yet. All right. I don't care. Thank you, YouTube, because you make it fun to be a disc jockey again. Ooh, big bump. Big thermal up. And note we don't need to swallow that the wrong way. Watch that course. What's nice about this airplane, you got room to unfold a map. In this case, put a suction cup on the window and put your phone up there and display the electronics. At least be the map. Just using the airplane to fly, but having the map is handy. I hope Colonel Fork found some people to come help him with his carrier trials. I got a couple of really nice looking screenshots from that episode. That was gorgeous. The takeoff was horrible, but the landing was great. Next time I'll know to read the instruction manual. Yeah, turn off the modern carrier catapults. They're used to throwing 50 tons of airplane into the air, not 3. No, that's not an airport. That's just a piece of dirt in the jungle. A bounce. You wouldn't think we'd have clear air turbulence up here, but we are. Up. Thermal, 1,000 feet per minute. That's a big lift. Now we're all the way up to 3,500 feet. Okay, take us back down. No, not up, down. I thought you had to have hills for gliders to come out and play, but looks like this spot's going to give you a rise out an hot air thermal to ride in no matter what. Pushed us all the way up to 4,000. Now we're starting to come back down. That's 100 feet per minute. How about try for 5? We'll pull back some power here to about 26 on our manifold pressure. No point in gaining too much speed in the descent. Just want to keep watching that altimeter down here. Back down to 3,500. And we'll take her down to 3,000. I love the song, but I hope not. I do not need any more tragedy. Just in case. How about that? There we go. Just in case. Don't need it, but should the need arise, it's there. Okay, there's 3,000. See if we can get it to 0 up right quick. And 2,900 feet. We'll take that. Coming back up to 30 inches of manifold. There we go. Okay, watch our fuel levels. Okay, the fuel in the indicators is showing 80%. So we've got plenty of fuel for now. Good grief, there are Quonset huts even down, even though there's no airport. They're everywhere. Just how deep are we into Borneo here? Let's look at the map. Only about, looks like about 12 miles deep into, oh, it's actually close to 35 miles deep into Borneo here. But we'll come back to the coast. No, I don't want thermals to make us rise. Thermals have popped us up 300 feet. But we're getting there. Somewhere out there is an ILS that we're picking up. Who's got 110.5? Cebu. Whiskey Bravo Golf Sierra. Their ILS is 110.5. We just passed them over on our right. They are 10 miles away from us. And we're steadily winging our way up the coast towards Bintulu. And if we feel like it, we may push on from Bintulu after refueling, and then it's another 92 nautical miles up to Miri. Whiskey Bravo Golf Romeo. Keep our course steady here. Phone. No, there's nothing there. Just a message. Nope. And it was junk mail at that. There's something I thought I'd never do, but went ahead and did it anyway. There, that should set us right. Starting to drift a little bit to the north there. Okay, 138. We've drifted all the way up to 3,600 feet. Bump that thing down so it'll drop us down again. Just a nice slow descent this time. Less than 100 feet per minute. Okay, it's showing us with 25 minutes to go till we get to our first stop, which is Bintulu. They've got some really nice facilities there. And the METAR for Bintulu is 130 at 4 knots. A few clouds at 1,600 feet. And 24th coverage at higher altitudes. Keep checking things. Because sooner or later, I'm going to push a button by mistake, and it'll all collapse. If it doesn't happen, it'll be one of the miracles of our time. And why did it do that? Obviously, a very large industrial site down there. I don't believe it's housing. Looks more like a solar array. Well, the sun is very active today, heating up that ground because we're still climbing. Keep turning that trim downward. Get back on course. Stop drifting around. But there's so much to look out the window at. Missed those camera controls. Well, for those of you that are going to buy MSFS 2024, let's hope they put together a better camera system. Because, well, let's face it, this one left a lot to be desired right out of the box. If it weren't for some add-on helps from the community, it would have been horrible. Oh, that's what happened. Oops, there's a big power plant. I'm sorry, I just cannot picture sitting in a room with this young lady and talking metaphysics. Pardon a dirty old man, but maybe talking might not be on the list at much at all. Still 50 miles to go to the airport. Bintulu. So many airports, they all run together after a while. The ILS is set up for runway 17, which is actually the runway we're going to use today because the winds are 130 at 4 knots. We're not going to use the ILS though because, well, this is a goose. You fly it visually. Well, they got to get their power from somewhere. And I don't know how we flew with before SimFX. The skies were empty without contrails, and now here they are. Now, I'm not a believer in chemtrails, but contrails I believe in. Those are some nicely spaced cooling towers, all in a clump. Uh-oh. And garbage has appeared. Okay, give me every option except delete. Well, tough luck, dude. Don't bump the throttles. Okay, 30 on the manifold. Okay. Try to keep her level here at 2,900 feet. It's like, okay, Twitch, you want to help your community? Put the big delete button right there in the middle of the screen so that people can find it when it's fast and you need to move quick. Some of us ain't that sharp. Oh, we're headed for some mountains. Wonder if we'll find it's 33 miles. I don't know if we'll get to them in time. The coast is running in on us to the left, and the mountains are coming in from the right. Matter of fact, there's the ocean over there. Do love the sound of those radials. And we've got them balanced to within 4 RPM of each other. That's not bad by hand. Bumpity bump bump bump. I don't know if I've played that in a while. We'll try it. Okay, we're showing 10 minutes, 26 nautical miles out. We get closer, we'll be switching off our Sperry autopilot here. We'll turn off the heading hold and the Sperry itself, and we'll make a visual approach to runway 17. Yeah, we ain't getting there fast, but it's Borneo. It's worth the looking at. Huge forests, and under the canopy of the forests, you can find orangutans. I believe they have a particular breed of tiger here in Borneo. I do know that they've imported Indian elephants over the years to do a lot of the work that normally here in the States would be provided by tractors. The elephants work a lot cheaper and don't use gas. Just feed them a couple of trees and they're good. We're slowly coming down a little bit. We're down to 2,800 feet. Watching the terrain tiles change out under us. Of course, there's no photogrammetry here. This is all computer generated stuff. 18 nautical miles to go. I would probably say that these hills off to our right are probably volcanic in nature, just because of where we're at and the fact that there's no large range of mountains close, although it's not that far to a mountain range. There go those thermals again. I'm beginning to think that this weather preset uses the weather from live, or uses the winds from live, and just plugs it into clear skies with a few clouds. Now, if you're a bush pilot, I'm sure that that river down there would be a look at those beaches on that river. Lots of places to land if you're a bush pilot. Oh, at this airspeed, we're 5 minutes out. We may overfly the airfield and then go into a left-hand pattern and land from the from downwind section from the right. And 10 miles out. We'll begin a descent. Nice, slow, gentle descent. Less than 500 feet a minute. Okay, all things considered, if we do cross over the center of the airfield, runway 17 will be off to our left. So we need to circle in that direction to come back in on it. No, we're not at 2,500. We're at 1,500. How about that? When did that happen? Hold up on that descent. How close to the coast is this airport? Probably about a mile in from the beach. I can see the airport. That's this place right up here. Yeah. Well, that's something. We've made our first stop. Don't want to count my chickens yet before landing here, but nothing else. At least this part of the evening has been successful. We've kept our game sound has stayed with us. We've gotten to play a few tunes. I'd say it's a win-win situation. From here on out, we're in the bonus. If you want to be pessimistic, we're in the penalty box minutes. Hey, heading control off. Autopilot off. There's runway 17 below us. We're going to start our left-hand turn here. This will take us out over the city. And we'll start swinging back. Throttle's coming back. Well, if we get to that river mouth, we've gone too far. Pretty good sized city here. Oil money can take, look at that old abandoned airfield. Well, oil money can take care of a lot. Hold her at about 500 feet per minute descent. Just bring her around slowly. We're not going too steep here. Trying to coordinate our turn. Still coming back on the power. Start cranking the gear down. Oh, we've gone around too far. $900 feet. 800. Hey, look, I just don't want to hit the trees. Notch your flaps. Just kind of let her float on in here. 110 knots. Crosswind. Now turn the rudder. There's landing zone. And the bounce. Ailerons into the wind. Brakes. Flaps back up. Keep some power to the engines here. I waited another 50 meters. I could have turned off on the taxiway. I don't mind grass stains on my tires. Ah, there's the fuel. We'll get out and check the tires and all right. Fill her up. Wash the glass. Well, nothing like onward and upward here. Bring some power back in. Start our taxi. And we'll back taxi down the runway here to the end of 17. Well, we could probably take off from here, but well, I don't quite trust myself. We'll do it the sure way, the safe way. Now we just back taxi here. Skid marks. What was our landing rate? Curiosity killed the cat. 49 feet per minute. We'll take that. Nice gentle bloop. Not a 3-point landing, but close. Slow enough with on the 2 main gear that the bounce wasn't big. Some breakage here. A little bit of a right turn. And swing it around to the left. scratch the itch in my head. Nothing in my head at the moment. Let's see, we take off, we need to turn around and fly approximately 4 or 5 degrees. Power coming in. It's 30 inches. Little holder there. Ailerons into the wind. Counteract the rudder. Tails up. And we're up. Start cranking up the gear. Try to stay over the runway as long as possible. Nice, gentle climb, about 500 feet a minute. We'll get past these hills at the end of the runway. Start our swing towards the north. We're up to 110 knots, which is great for a climb. $700 feet. Well, we've almost come around full circle here. Now we'll pass back over the city. Okay. Sperry on. Netting hold. See if we can give us 500 feet per minute here. There we go. And we're at 1,300 feet. Right at 2,000 RPMs per engine. 30 inches of manifold pressure. 500 feet per minute. 130 knots. And we just head for the coast here. And then we'll turn about 45 degrees. We'll try that and see how close to our course line that gets us. And we'll adjust from there. Okay, that levels us up right at, that's it. Well, we're right at 2,000 feet right now. A little bit higher, we'll try to go to 2,500. How about that? High enough to clear terrain, but close enough to still look at it. No, that wasn't bad. It's got us pretty close to our course line. And right at 2,500 feet. Dial our Sperry back a bit. There, how about that? Level? Now we should pick up a few knots. 135. Okay, a little bit up. Come on down. 4:30 in the afternoon here local. We'll just cruise on up here and hopefully it'll be right. It should be about right at 5:15 local. Time for getting close to the golden hour of flight. Ooh, we've already gone up to 140 knots. Ooh, we're smoking it. For a goose. Well, there's where we just left. See that green light? That's the airport. Well, onward into the evening. I believe yesterday I was reading something. One of the volcanoes down in this stretch of the woods is active again. As if mankind isn't polluting the air fast enough, Mother Earth decided to get in on the act and really pollute the air. I think they said the site said that it was sulfur dioxide and all kinds of nice, and hydrogen monoxide and all kinds of poisonous gases. I'm just glad it hasn't blown its top. Bubbling lava and escaping gases are fine, but when they clog up and pop all at once, that's not good. I used to know this young lady. Played several AD&D adventures with her. And kind of bring that altitude back down and started getting a little excessive climb here. Now, this island may be rich in natural resources, but one thing it's not rich in is mountainous areas. This is pretty flat. Now, there's some hills over there, and when we were low and coming around that airport, we could see a few hills, but nothing like it is around here. So basically, we're 24 minutes out from our last stop. You can always do something crazy like they did during the Second World War. Took off from down here, and I think it was down here near, just around Borneo, or where was that? Papua New Guinea, or where was that? Come out of our zoom here. It was down here in Borneo. They took off from here in B-25 Mitchells and loaded up their ferry tanks in the bomb bay. They took less bombs, small delayed blast explosives, and they flew from here to Manila. And back. And as typical, they were there overhead delivering packages and vanished again before anybody knew they were there. Of course, they were only flying about 100 feet. I think the only time those guys ever climbed was to avoid a radio antenna or a hill. Yeah, actually playing some music where I've actually met the singers and had actual conversations with these ladies. Matter of fact, I've even gotten some of their books signed. Yeah, of course, you know that they're going to be able to sing and play music and write novels at the same time. Wind's picked up at least at 2,500 feet. We're doing about 143 knots with a 154 ground speed. So, yep, we've got a little bit of a butt pushing wind. Actually ahead of myself for a change. That's a nice concept. Well, we're not too much further out. Lots of trees. $45 miles to go. Let's see a city ahead of us. It's not where we're going, but let's see what it is. Well, there's a village up there. It's called Borneo. Who knows? We may be able to see Miri from all the way back here. There are disadvantages to having a microphone that picks up everything. There, hopefully got that frog out of my throat. Okay, 1,500 feet. That's low enough. Don't need to go any lower. Right there. That's good enough. Well, just under 40 miles. 15 minutes. Well, that's something we don't have to worry about tonight. Pushing the speed of light. We're pushing the speed of smell. Okay, it turns out what we were seeing wasn't the city after all. It's leftover clouds in the satellite image. Okay, everybody, please stow your trays in the folded and upright position. Put your lunches away. Tighten your seat belts. And let's hope we make a nice smooth landing this time instead of a bollocksed up approach. Well, I didn't restart that like I was supposed to. We'll just have to see how it goes. Nothing else that'll tell me how bad the landing was. Let's start looking up our landing information. Okay, runways are 02 and 20. Winds are 140 at 4 knots. So we're going to go past and circle back to land on runway 20, which is the visual runway anyway. 02 is the ILS runway. All right, give me the beaches. Beaches, little inlets, little rivers where they're dumping right out into the ocean. Sim's working hard to keep up with the scenery. Okay, we've creeped up to 1,600 feet, but that's okay. It's within tolerance. And I don't think the local ATC is going to mind too much. Hey, Goose, you out of your altitude lane. Get back in your lane. Now, this song was written by C.J. Sherry, a fabulous author of science fiction. And she's still with us. She lives out on the West Coast with her life mate, and they're doing fine. And the next tune I've got queued up was written by another best-selling author, Mercedes Lackey. Oh, I see runway lights 21 miles away. And we've drifted back down to 1,500 feet. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sperry. I don't know what they coded into this thing, but this thing works spectacularly well. So many other vintage aircraft that use Sperry's. They should have just bought this software straight from Big Radials. "18 miles. Keep our course steady here. The wind's pushing us around a goodly bit. Well, if nothing else, my stomach knows we're definitely getting close to the end of the run here. I want... screaming out to me, we want something to eat. Colonel Fork must have had a really good session tonight. Because I've been on the air for 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 15 minutes. He's been on for, since an hour before I signed in. And we're going to start changing course now to get onto the downwind side of the airport. That's a welcome sight. Approach lights in the middle of the jungle. Now let's see if I can get in my chair, right? There we go. Some days it's harder to get that leg to move around than others. Look at the facilities at that airport. It looks huge. Only to have to reach over here and do this. Of course, we found the one place in Borneo that's actually got a hill on it. Okay, we're even with the runway. We need to go a few hundred yards past the runway here. Now we need to go past the airport. Matter of fact, somewhere over that city up there. And then start slowing down, make our turn, kick our gear out, and drop our flaps, and come in for a landing. Click, click. Looks like there's some nice visual clues at this airport. There's a nice highway right next to the airport there that's parallel to the runway. Unfortunately, it looks like it's right out of Sim City. Yeah, I guess it's one thing. Ain't got Godzilla trying to stomp the city flat. Okay, we are well into our downwind leg here. We'll just go ahead and cut the autopilot off, heading hold off, start pulling our throttles back. Put a little drown trim on her. See, reach down and start cranking our gear down. Okay, we're 1,900 feet above ground. We need to come down and get about 1,200 feet, and then we'll start our turn around here. Local barometer set. Starter turn. A bit of left rudder. Too much. Coordinate that turn, please. We should have gone out further away from the airfield. And now we're going to have to swing back onto course as we go past the point of turn here. Throttles back some more. First notch of flaps, please. And keep swinging it. There, level up. There's the runway. 400 feet. Swing her back. Bring some power back in. Hundred knots. Sit up in our chair. Don't want to hit the buildings on our way down. Rudder. Zero the rudder. Line up the approach lights. Power back. Too high. Let her glide in. Just enough rudder to keep her, straighten her up. We're going long. It's okay. Bumpsy daisy. A little bit of breakage. Beat those ailerons into the wind. Ooh, we have a taxiway. Somebody's all got the Smurfs lined up for us. Didn't realize it was that late in the day that they turned the lights on for us. Now we turn off the runway here. Stare into the setting sun. Look at the crossing contrails and the high up in the sky. Now we turn back towards the terminal. I do love the sound of these radial engines at idle. I think Big Radials nailed it with this airplane. One of the earlier aircraft for our sim, but it's perfection needs no improvement. Try to concentrate, keep our rudders on, our rudders centered here, so we're not wobbling all over the taxiway. We're not a tail dragger, or we are a tail dragger, but we can at least see over the hood. There's the terminal. And looks like the bots are really out tonight. Okay, brakes. Oh, our taxi was almost done. And we don't need to go to the terminal. What we need to do is an FBO. There's a fuel truck over here. We'll go harass those people. There's some Gomer out there in the middle of the parking lot. Be kind of rude not to use his services. We see your little lamps, buddy. Oh, you want us closer, huh? How about that? There you go. Set the parking brake. Check. And mixtures to rich. Props to full. And the engines died. So we'll turn our fuel off, since they cacked anyway. Turn the fuel off. Magnetos off. Okay, Gen 1 off, Gen 2 off, Battery 2 off. And here we are. We made it alive. See what little RN gave us for that last landing. 210 feet per minute. I'll take that. A bit bouncy, but we'll take it. Now we push this button here, pull that handle there, and then we can lean out the window and yell those guys the fuel truck to, hey, bring that over here. We could use a couple of gallons of that. Now let's see who's on to raid. Creaky chair. Wrong mouse. That mouse. Raid. Who's on? Colonel Fork is still on. He's having fun in this Huey. Okay, start the raid. And good night, everybody, and thanks for coming along.